You'll need lavender. Grab it and cut. We'll take a lot of lavender to make a wreath. Taking your paddle wire, 26-inch gauge, and twisting it around the form and tying it in secure so it doesn't come loose. Get a bunch of lavender after you've cut it, and I use fresh lavender. I think it's easier. And depending on the length of the wreath, I trim it about 5 to 6 inches. And this form is 8 inches in diameter. And the first bunch you want to make maybe a hair longer than the other bunches and have it out so the last bunch you wire will go under that bunch easier. And then you just take your paddle wire, and because the lavender's fresh, it's going to shrink when it dries. And after it dries, you can take a glue gun and run a bead of glue around the back. And then you just get your next bunch. I've got 35 lavender stems per bunch. I'm going to trim it. And then I'm going to lay the second bunch over the first bunch. Cover the wire and then wire very tight, because it's like wood. When this dries, it's going to shrink, and then it's going to loosen up in the back. So you take your next bunch and you lay it over the last bunch and wire it tightly. And if it's necessary, you can always trim off from the bottom. And you take the next bunch, and there's probably at least 35 to 40 lavender stems in each bunch, depending on the thickness. You can add more or less, but I find it's always nice to have at least 35 to 40 stems. And then I'm going to trim it up a little bit. Put it over that bunch. Wire tightly. And I'm using a 26-inch paddle wire or a 26 gauge. On these types of wreaths, I don't use the heavier gauge wire. So the way a 26, the higher the number, the thinner the wire. A 22-inch would be a thicker wire, which is too thick for lavender. You would use that like on a twig wreath. Actually, this bunch looks kind of skimpy. And I'm going to take the next bunch, trim it off a little bit at the bottom. So these are about 5 inches, probably, from top to bottom. And then lay it over that bunch so you see what we're doing. Wire tight. And again, this will shrink when it dries in the back, and I would suggest using a glue gun and go around where it hits the wire and glue once it's dry. Then you take your next bunch. I'm going to trim it off a little bit more. You know, I think this one's a little bit short. I'm going to use this bunch. You want all your bunches to be kind of even. Take some out of this bunch. Lay it over, cover the stem, and get it butted up to kind of where that part of the last bunch was. You see I got a lot of green at the end, so I'm going to trim that. Uh-oh. Okay. This may happen where you break the wire. So what I'm going to have to do is stop and tie this off. And just knot it off back here. Pull it tight. With thinner wire, this can happen depending on how hard you're pulling on it when you're wiring it. And you can find the paddle wire at your craft stores, Michael's, Joann's. And then just tie that off and trim it. Okay, then you're gonna take your paddle wire again, and I'm gonna get it under there, and I'm gonna make another knot so I can continue wiring. With the thicker wire, this doesn't usually happen. But then a thicker wire on our lavender wreath is just too much. And just knot it and trim it back. Now I'm going to go over this again with this. Pull it tight. And then there's all this excess here, so I'm going to trim that off. And I always have a little garbage can here to kind of contain the mess. Okay, then we're going to take another bunch and do the same. We're going to cover it like so. Well, if you were at home and this isn't going to be shipped, you could hang this wreath right away and just let it dry on your wall. And we'll have to. Okay, then we're going to get this bunch and we're going to lay it over that bunch. And I'm going to trim this back a little bit. We don't need all this green in here. I'm a little bit short of lavender, so I'm going to go and cut a little more lavender. And then we'll do the, it looks like we need at least 2 more bunches to finish. Let me take this bunch and put it over that bunch. Push this back. As we get closer to the first bunch we wired, it gets a little trickier. And then, you know, pull your wire tight. Go a little bit too tight, it might snap, but wire it around 3 or 4 times, it just depends. Now I'm going to lift up this bunch and I'm going to cut off some of this extra green here. Careful not to cut the lavender. And then I'm going to take the last bunch. Trim it up. This is what's hard with the wreath sometimes, is getting that last bunch in there. But if you, I'm going to trim off a little bit more of the green. So you want to lift this one up like that. Your first bunch you lift up like I did. And you tuck this one under that first bunch. And if you've left this bunch just a little bit longer than your others, you shouldn't have trouble getting that last bunch under. And layer it tight. Careful not to break it. What's going on here? Got a loop here. There we go. And then you have your completed lavender wreath. Now what I'm going to do, because I made this fresh and didn't wait for the lavender to dry out first, I think it's easier to make a wreath when it's fresh. And again, you can wait till your lavender opens a little more than this. Is now you're going to tie this off, your last wire, and you're going to put it under these rings and make a knot. Hard to work with gloves. And you're going to tie a couple knots, knot that under, knot it off. And then I just take it and loop it through And I'll do it a couple times just to make sure it holds. Just like, and then cut the wire. And then back here, if you want to trim it down a little bit, you can. And then once this dries, I take a glue gun, and where these wires are, once all this is dry, I go around with a glue gun and wire, and that will keep, because the greenery will dry up and shrink, and it might loosen up. So just to keep it together better, I just put some glue around the back of it. Now, if you want to, you can add a ribbon, a bow, or just leave it natural. Or you can put a ribbon through the back of the wire, the loop, and hang a ribbon that way. So for a few days now, I'm just going to let this sit on a box, a cardboard box, or somewhere where it gets air, and let it sit like this for 2 days, and then I'm going to hang it. And you shouldn't ship a lavender wreath until it's dry. So, and this one came out about 12 inches. So the ring size was an 8-inch ring. It's 8 inches. So you get to end up with a 12-inch wreath when it's finished. So if you use a 10-inch form, this is a 10-inch, you're going to end up probably with about a 14 to 16-inch wreath. To complete the wreath, if you want to hang it, I just have a little bit of wire here, or you can use a chenille stem, and just put it under one of the rings at the back, and then just make a loop, and I just loop the wire around it. Or you could add lavender ribbon and put through here and use a ribbon at the top, or you could tie a bow to the side, and then you hang it like that. But again, I'm going to let it dry first, because then it'll keep this shape. Otherwise, with it loose and going like that, it's going to go a little funny at first.